Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be unpacking something really wild today, a completely silent force that is literally actively shaping your entire reality. Yeah, I'm talking about your thoughts. You know, every single day, thousands of thoughts are just racing through your head. But here's the thing, they aren't just harmless background noise. Actually, scratch that. They are actively building the blueprint of the life you're living right now. So we're going to figure out exactly how that works. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with how thoughts shape reality, then look at focus and invisible walls, why action proves the thought, curating your mental environment, and finally, mastering your own mind. Basically, we're going to trace that whole chain reaction, right from the smallest invisible thought all the way to your entire external reality. All right, section 1, how thoughts shape reality. The beginning of everything you do. Because listen, your mind doesn't just casually think. It's actually programming your life from the exact second you wake up. Look, right here, this is the core formula. It all starts with a thought, right? And that thought creates a feeling. Then that feeling drives an action, and those actions produce your results. It's a direct, totally undeniable loop. Think about it. If your thoughts are weak, if you're constantly telling yourself you just aren't good enough, well, your feelings are going to be fearful, your actions will be super hesitant, and logically, your results will be weak too. But if your thoughts are strong and focused on growth, your actions naturally become strong, which ultimately upgrades your whole life. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. When negative self-talk says, I can't do this, well, it's a dead end. Your brain literally shuts down its problem-solving pathways. But swapping it out for a positive replacement like, I will try and improve, isn't about, toxic positivity or lying to yourself. Not at all. It's about giving your brain a totally different instruction. Swapping out that negative self-talk, that is the absolute critical first step in reprogramming your whole mental computer. Think of your mind kind of like a giant garden. Your thoughts are the seeds you plant in it. But here is the fascinating and kind of scary psychological default. We humans actually have a built-in negativity bias. So if you don't actively choose to plant positive seeds like confidence, action, learning, you aren't just left with an empty patch of dirt. Nope. Negative seeds like fear, doubt, and excuses will sprout up completely automatically like weeds. You absolutely have to be deliberate about the seeds you're dropping into your mind. Moving on to section 2, focus and invisible walls. Overcoming the limits of your own beliefs. Let's shift gears and look at how those repeated thoughts eventually solidify into these huge long-term beliefs. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that a limiting belief is definitely not a fact. It's just an invisible wall. It's basically a strong thought that you've repeated so many times that your mind finally just throws its hands up and accepts it as absolute truth. Through neuroplasticity, saying I'm a bad public speaker over and over literally wires that identity right into your brain. But these walls are just built by past experiences and repetition, not by actual reality. It's kind of amazing when you realize your limits might just be old echoes. So let's contrast two totally different mindsets facing the exact same scenario. Imagine person A and person B. They both get the exact same critical feedback from their boss at work. Person A completely hyper-focuses on the problem, feels totally inadequate, and naturally, they just stop taking initiative. Now person B, they focus on solutions, feel active, and take actual steps to improve their skills. Same situation, literally the exact same starting point, but their focus dictates two entirely different realities. You can think of the mind as a spotlight. Whatever you shine it on grows. And there's an actual neurological reason for this. Your brain has this filter. It's called the reticular activating system, which basically highlights exactly what you tell it is important. If you shine your spotlight on fear, guess what? Your brain finds more things to be afraid of, and the fear just looks overwhelming. But if you shine it on your progress accelerates. You've got to learn to hit pause and deliberately shift your spotlight towards solutions instead of getting stuck in that fear. Okay, section 3. Action proves the thought. Why the brain requires physical proof. This is really the climax of this whole explainer, because thoughts alone, they just aren't enough. We have to bridge that internal world to the external world through action. And to bridge that gap, you don't need these massive, overwhelming life overhauls. I'm talking about reading one single page, speaking one sentence, doing just one push-up, saving literally just $1. A tiny, small action is infinitely more powerful than some massive, elaborate plan that you never actually start. Why? Because an action gives your brain undeniable physical proof of change. It tells your mind, hey, we aren't just thinking anymore, we are actually doing this. So the crucial point is this. Confidence comes after action, not before. So many of us are trapped in this endless myth of waiting to feel ready. We say things like, oh, I'll start when I'm feeling a bit more confident. No way. Confidence is the reward you get for taking the action. You literally have to push yourself to take one small step out into the unknown before the confidence ever arrives to back you up. Because look at overthinking. It's really just obsessing about every single potential problem and doing absolutely nothing about it. It completely paralyzes you. Action cuts right through all that noise by asking one incredibly useful question. What is one small thing I can do right now? And then, actually doing it. Taking action is the only thing that actually builds a new identity. All right, section 4, curating your mental environment, choosing what enters your mind. Let's shift gears a bit because I have to warn you, you absolutely cannot sustain new mental habits if your external environment is constantly feeding you negativity. See, your mind subconsciously absorbs everything around it. Look at this breakdown. If your media diet, the videos you watch, the news you read, is primarily negative, the output is inevitably going to be fear, stress, and doubt. But if you carefully curate those inputs, you get growth and useful ideas. And the people you talk to matter too. If they're always complaining, you're going to feel stuck. But if they're focused on improving, you become active. Even your daily words dictate whether you're thinking small or building strong habits. The takeaway here is that you have to be incredibly protective of what you let into your brain. It all boils down to this. Your environment feeds your mind, and your mind creates your life. It's a continuous, endless loop. Now, obviously, being stuck in a toxic environment is a huge challenge. We've all been there. Sometimes you can't just up and quit your job or leave your town immediately. But you can use a life hack here. You can actively design a better mental space within that bad environment. Put on some headphones, choose an empowering podcast, read better books on your commute, and consciously limit those negative influences that just drain your energy. Let's move to and see how this builds into section 5, mastering your own mind, taking charge of your internal commands. This is where we get into ultimate self-reliance and mental discipline. No one is coming to save you. Wow, I know it sounds a bit harsh, but it is a deeply, deeply empowering truth. Literally, no one is coming to magically fix your life, hand you confidence, or push you out of bed every morning. If you just waste your energy worrying about what other people think of you, you are only going to keep yourself trapped right there in your comfort zone. The truth is, everyone is busy with their own lives. You've got to take the wheel.
And taking the wheel really means choosing discipline over mood. You must act based on your goals, not just how you happen to feel today. Because remember, the mind is essentially just a comfort-seeking machine. It has this deep evolutionary desire to save energy. So it's always going to suggest the path of least resistance, right? Like, I'm tired, let's just do it tomorrow. But true freedom comes from hearing that suggestion, acknowledging it, and then choosing discipline over that fleeting mood anyway.
So here is your final blueprint for building that mental muscle every single day. First, pause before you react. Second, choose action over excuses, even if that action is incredibly tiny. Third, ignore negative thinking. Just let it pass by you like a cloud in the sky. And finally, take full charge of your thoughts. Making these your daily practices trains your mind to stop being this terrible, bossy master and start being an excellent servant that follows you as the leader. Which leads us to a final, absolutely vital question. What will your next inner command be? Right now, as we wrap up this explainer, you have a choice. I really challenge you to apply what we've just covered today. Try to catch just one negative thought today and change it. Then, take one tiny physical action today that proves to your brain you are actually moving forward. Because remember, guys, in life, you don't become what you vaguely wish for. You become exactly what you think.